Hello everyone, welcome back to Coden's Fiber course. This is our fifth episode where we will learn how to make connection between our MongoDB server using our Fiber app. For that, we will require a few packages. First of all, we will get our go.env which will help us to load our .env. Secondly, we will require the Mongo driver which can be installed using the following command go get. You can copy this from Mongo driver's official documentation. Now everything has been installed. Let's start by making a few files and inside our folders. First of all, we will go inside our DB folder and make a db.go file. This is where we will write our MongoDB connection logic. Secondly, we will make a user.model.go, and then we will make a todo.model.go. These are all the three files that we require today. First, now inside our db.go file, I'll start by declaring a package db. This will basically initialize this file as our db package, which will handle all our database related utilities. Now we will make a few imports. First of all, we will get the .env, then we will get MongoDB and also MongoDB options, and let's also make another import OS. Now we will declare a variable db which will be MongoDB database. Then we will declare a function connectDB. Now let me just complete all this, then I will explain you everything that I have written everything. Let's actually explain or learn what we have actually written over here. First of all, we have package db, which, as I said, declares this file as the package for all our database utilities. Then we have a few imports right over here, and then we are declaring a global variable db. Once our MongoDB gets connected, this variable will hold all the instances for our active databases so that the rest of our code can easily access the collection. Then we are declaring a function connectDB, inside which we are loading all the env variables. And these two values basically decide which MongoDB URI are we working with and what is its name. Then we are validating, and we are simply making sure that none of the credentials that we need are empty. Then wrapping our MongoDB URI inside a structured client configuration which is understood by the Mongo driver. As you can see, we have imported Mongo driver right over here. And then we have created a context which will give us a 10-second timeout. Meaning, whenever we try to connect to our database, it must finish within 10 seconds. It just prevents our app from crashing or hanging. Then we are finally connecting to MongoDB right over here using mongo.connect function, and if it fails, it logs a simple error saying that failed to connect to MongoDB and logs the error. Then, after that, sometimes even after our connection succeeds, the server is not able to reach our database. Here, ping verifies the server is truly alive and responding. Then lastly, we are setting up the active database inside so we can use it anywhere we like in the db variable which we had declared right over here. And lastly, this is our getCollection function, a helper function which will return any MongoDB collection by name. Now that our database connection is all ready, the next step is to design our data models. First, we will define how a user looks in our system. Then we will define how a to-do item is structured. These models will help us structure and validate all data stored in MongoDB. First of all, let's go to our todo.model.go file. Here we will declare a package models and make a import go.mongodb. Yes, right, this one. By the way, these suggestions are coming from GitHub Copilot. You can also install it. It is very helpful. Then we will declare type to do status, which will be a type of string. And then we have const status completed to do status equals to completed. Then we have status incomplete, and its to do status will be incomplete. Now we'll declare another type for to do, and it will be write, this one. This is our final to-do structure. Here, primitive.objectId is basically simply MongoDB's unique ID type. Then we defined our to-do status, which can either be completed or incomplete. And our final structure is looking like ID, which will be MongoDB's auto-generated ID. Then title, description, and finally status, which will be either complete or incomplete as discussed above. This represents our one to-do item stored in MongoDB. Then we will go to our user.model.go file and define model and define user model. First of all, we will declare it model package, and we'll make the same import that we made right over here. And I will define the type user, which will be id primitive object.id, which as we discussed is MongoDB's auto-generated ID. Then we will have email, string, name, no, not, we will not have name, we will have password. And finally, we will have to-dos, which will be array of to-dos that we have declared right over here. Here our final user structure is looking like this. ID, which is MongoDB recorded ID as explained above. Then we have email, which is user's unique identifier. Password, which should be hashed and should never be stored in plain text. And as you can see, this throws a linting error, which means field password is unused. That means we have never used password. It will be fixed later on when we try to hash password or when we even try to set up password. And then as you can also see over here, this says JSON dash, which basically means whenever we receive an API response, password field will never be sent automatically. Then lastly, we have to do, which is a type of array of object IDs, which stores references to get user's ID. Now that we have our DB set up and also our models defined, let's go into app.go file and actually use it. First of all, we will load our .env variables here as well using the same go.env.load. And then if we get an error, we will simply log.fatal error loading.env file, log didn't get imported, log.fatal, and here we will just call the .db.connectDB function. Now, after we call our connectdb function in our app.go file, let's actually try to initialize or start our server using go run server.go command. Here, as you can see, we have connected to MongoDB and server started on port 3000 right over here. Make sure that you have these two variables set up in your .env file, else your server will not start and will end up failing continuously. That's it for this video. I will meet you next time where we will start writing the middleware and also login logout functions. We will also learn about authentication using JWT tokens. That's it for this video. Thank you for making it till the end. Bye bye.